All right, welcome back to the KnivesFAST channel, guys. Say hello to Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy, and Powdered Toast Man, and Log and TV, and let's get started. Today we have a video a lot of you have been waiting quite some time for. My review of the first Toor knives folding knife that I've had on the channel. Obviously, they have had basically 4 different knives. They've had the Merchant Drop Point, which is this one, the Merchant Tanto, the Chasm, which has got that recurved blade to it, and the Suitor, which is sort of almost looks like a penknife, really pointy, thin gentleman's carry knife. This is the Merchant. We'll start off by talking about why there's 2 knives on the table. So these were sent to me by Toor, to check out and review. And I'm glad to do so very, very much, and very honored that they would do that. And we'll go over, why there are 2 in a minute. But the first one was sent, and I had some issues with it. And then they sent a second one. So comes in this really awesome packaging. You see you got the Merchant FL35S stone. You got the picture there, this magnetic enclosure box. Look at that, guys. That is beautiful. Magnetic enclosure box. It does come with the cutout for the knife. Cut out here with your frog lube, and then you will get a warranty card. You can pause and read that if you would like, but they do stand behind their knives. All made in the USA. Every piece of these knives, from the screws to everything else, made in the USA. And these are now available at dealers, as are pretty much all of their knives, and also available on their website. And then you get a Toor Knives sticker. So that's, the packaging is so good. This is a $250 knife, so you'd expect it to come with some really sharp, nice packaging. So I'm going to start with this one. So this is the latest one, but they're basically looks-wise the same knife. This is a beautiful knife, guys. It is stone-washed. Look at that stonewash both on the blade and the handle. The only billboarding is a little tiny Toor logo there. And on this side, USA, upside down, USA, and in this case, number 380. Really, really cool. You got the bronze-looking thumb studs, really flat pivot screws on both sides, jimping up top there. The pocket clip also has that stonewash. And guys, ergonomically, this guy is an absolute dream for me. There is no finger choil, but you can kind of put your finger in there if you're careful. I would be very careful. For me, I carried it around in a normal format, and I love the ergos of this knife. The way it feels in my hand, the way it fills my hand. It's a great size for me. Big, chunky boy, and I like that. Nice thumb ramp here. The jimping is pretty aggressive, but really well done, and I love a thumb ramp, guys. I just, flat spines are great, but this thumb ramp is money for me. You got the swedging on the blade there. Really, really, really well done. Frame lock, obviously, titanium on the handle scales, and S35 VN on the steel. It is, by the way, the titanium and the hardware are 6AL-4V titanium, and all of the screws are Torx 8. So just really, really beautiful, really well done. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about this pocket clip and the placement. First of all, I don't care if it's deep carry. Now, do I prefer deep carry? In some cases, yes. In other cases, no, because sometimes with deep carry, I have to end up grabbing the bottom of the clip and ripping it out of my pocket. Now, this is quite a bit sticking out of your pocket. You see how much right there. Probably more than a lot of people would like. But for me, I don't care, because it gives me something to grab onto. It's not in the way for me. I have bigger things, that I carry from time to time, and that stick out further, and it doesn't bother me. Now, I know some of you will. Now, the other thing is it being up here. I've heard people talking about it being a pain in the butt ergonomically, and I got to tell you guys, the way it fits in my hand, it doesn't bother me. Now, will it bother you? Maybe. It depends on where it falls on your hand. But for me, the way I grab a knife with the support going on here and you know, and here, that there's actually a little gap right there. I'm not pressing hard there. I'm pressing hard here. I'm pressing hard here. And then the rest of this is just for control. Now, I know that some of you aren't going to like that. I get it. You know, but for me, it doesn't bother me. So now let's talk about, oh, by the way, the first one I got wasn't incredibly sharp. That's this one. It was sharp and it would cut, but it was a little bit of resistance when I cut. So I stropped it up and it's fine. As soon as I spent, you know, a minute or two stropping it, it was fine. Now this one came really sharp. This just mows through paper and different things, cuts open boxes, no problem. You can definitely see on this one where I used it quite a bit. You can see some streaks there where I didn't clean it off super well. But anyway, so, you know, let's talk about why we have two. So the first one really had a couple of issues. Well, okay, let's talk about one thing. Action first. Let's talk about that because it's about the same on both. For me, you know, I can thumb flick it open, no problem. I've heard people talk about it being stiff on the way out, and for me, I've not had that problem. Now, it is not. Neither one of these are a dropper. You can adjust the pivot, and it's not made to be a dropper. This is a work knife. This is a knife that's just made to work, and it does. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. So, what were the issues with this one? Well, okay, so it's got a carbonized lock interface on the front of the lock there, and when it first got here, it had quite a bit of lock stick. I will tell you that is, through use, is pretty much gone. Now, that's great, but the lockup, as you can see, is really good. Oh, by the way, centering is nailed, just really good. Now, there's no lock rock, and there are no issues with this knife closing or anything like that. It is locked up like a bank vault, and there is ever so slight of a tiny bit of lock stick there, but barely noticeable. When it first got here, it was considerable lock stick, and it is, through use and everything else, it's pretty much gone. The other issue with this one, which I've remedied with, oh man, anyway, Loctite, thank you, wow, blank, was that as you would adjust the pivot. Now, if you had left it alone, they started it with Loctite, and it wasn't going to go anywhere. But as I adjusted the pivot, I then learned that the pivot started walking out as I moved it. It now has Loctite on it, and it's not going to go anywhere. It hasn't had a problem since. So the two issues on that one, again, were lock stick and the pivot moving, and that's pretty much it on that one. Now, I got this one, and I was extremely excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, the action is even a little bit better. It flicks out of there really nice. Again, still not a dropper, but it's not intended to be. And that pivot has not moved since it got here. And you know, I haven't adjusted this one as much because I know now it's not supposed to be a dropper. But it's fine for me. Oh, and one other thing on both. Now, I've heard people talk about these not, you know, I'm not going to name any reviewers, but not having a detent. It definitely, you can hear the click, definitely has a detent. It's just not super strong. It could be stronger for sure. No doubt about it. On both cases, could be slightly stronger. So there you go. And by the way, I forgot to say, this is going to be a little longer review because I'm talking about two knives and some back and forth and different things like that. Now, in the between getting this knife and trying to do a video and then getting this knife, I saw some other people, Stasa23 was one of them, talking about lock failure. Now, I will tell you, there is no lock stick on this one. They have remedied the lock stick. Now, what I think they did, again, I have not confirmed this, but it looks like to me like that lock side scale is a little fatter. I don't know that for sure. It's hard to say. I'm probably crazy, but you can see the lockup is really, looks great. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm just going to talk about something here. So I've heard there's been this debate in the knife community for the longest time on spine whacking a knife to make sure it locks up. I don't spine whack knives, okay? I'm not going to do it because it's not something you're going to do in everyday use of a knife. So when people ask me, did I see Stas's video? Did I, not spine whack, but do a spine test? I hadn't done it because, I don't typically do that with my knives. And here's the thing. This knife is locked up, and if I use it the way a knife is intended to be used, I'm putting pressure on that lock bar inwardly, and it is not coming out. I just want to be clear. This, in my opinion, again, I'm not an expert, this lock is not going to fail when you are using it properly. However, because of all the people asking me about Stas's video, I did start. Now, I've done this same test with the first one that had the lock stick, and I've not had this happen. But if you sit here and rock this guy, there you go, back and forth, the lock does fail. It's probably something to do with the geometry of the lock. If you see down in there, if you flick it open, wow, and just pull it one time, it is not going to fail. But if I rock this guy back and forth, it does fail, okay? So I'm being clear. This is an issue. This is not ideal. This is not good. I just don't know that many of us are going to be actually using our knife in a way that that's going to happen. But buyer beware. There's the information. It does, if you do this test where you fold it like a piece of paper and you rock back and forth, I can get that one to fail. I have let Toor know about this. They had me adjust the pivot a little bit. They had me try a couple of things, and it continued to fail. Now, I will guarantee you, if I was a buyer, they would have very much taken this knife back. They sent me this knife, as I said, so I did not obviously ask to return it or anything like that. But if you had one like this and it did that, then you could definitely do it. So there you go, guys. I mean, in my opinion, a good working knife. A lot of you are going to feel like that is a humongous issue, and I can, trust me, I totally see it, totally feel it. I'm just giving you all the facts. My job as a reviewer is to give you everything I've seen about a knife, and you have to make your own purchasing decision. It's a gorgeous knife. So the mechanism, of course, is a frame lock. I'm doing some specs now because I haven't really done that, and I've prattled on for 13 minutes here. It is overall length of 8 inches. It is 3.75 inches on the blade length, 4.25 inches on the handle length, so closed. 5-ounce knife, so it is a little heavier, but again, there's no milling on the inside there. It's thick slabs of titanium, and it's 5 ounces. But again, I feel like this falls into the category of work knife, and that doesn't bother me. If it's not for you, then obviously don't get it. The Rockwell hardness of this guy is between 59 and 61. Half an inch overall thickness, blade thickness 0.125 inches. There you go, guys. So that's the facts about this knife. I will tell you guys, this changes nothing for me about Toor. I know they are going, this is a quality American company. They're gonna get this stuff straight. I bet you the next runs will have all of these issues fixed. They're working with Strider on a lot of this, guys, and I know they're going to get all this straightened away. This is just growing pains of a company going into a new area, in my opinion. But, I mean, you know how I feel about the Field 2.0. I have used and abused and resharpened and drowned this knife in a river, and I just absolutely adore that one. I love my Jank Shank, as you know. Great little backup knife. And the Anaconda, of course, which is money, in my opinion. So these guys know what they're doing about knives. They're going to get it right. But again, I just wanted to give you everything I knew about these knives. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this video, but I wanted to really make sure that I tested it out good and that I got you the answers you were looking for. So there you go, guys. The Toor Knives Merchant. Let me know what you think. Give me all the comments, guys. It's all good. And give me a thumbs up, hopefully, for the video. Or if you don't like my review, give me a thumbs down, too. That's fine. And if you're not subscribed, guys, I would absolutely ask you to consider doing so. And, guys, overall, thanks for the support and for watching the KnivesFAST channel.